All right, the last awardee is my man, P. Diddy, Pat Donohue. Again, I met Pat through Brian Caver. He introduced us at the college. He was doing some basketball, and he said, I want you to come over and meet Pat. And then from that day, since then, we built a really great friendship. Goes beyond the Boners. We actually hang out. We call each other to watch sporting events together. He even now, part of the Hula Hands family on certain nights when he can get out. He's just a wonderful, outstanding young man. When I met him, he was the director of the Boners. He moved on. He's still at the college, but he's doing another position, but he's still really a part of 94 Feet growth. And I'm very honored to have him a part of what we're trying to do in our mission and our vision to grow 94 Feet, not just to 8 after-school programs, but as many as possible, to one day having our own building, to one day moving out of the state to serving other kids in other neighborhoods and other cities to continue to grow 94 Feet. The mission and the vision is strong. It wants to expand, and Pat Donohue is going to be a major part of that expansion. So, with no further ado, please welcome. I told Pat, because Pat, he wants to talk for like a half hour. I said, Pat, I said, this might not be the night, Pat. He was like, can I have my entry music or something? Make this a little something for me. So he knows, my wife already told him he has a time limit, but Pat has done so much for this academy and so much for the growth of this academy. I would be dead wrong if I did not really acknowledge the love that we have for you, the company, the people that you have served. I'm sure the College of New Jersey are proud that you're a part of them and how you represent them in the community. He even, they located downtown Trenton above Dunkin' Donuts. That's the vision of, they have for building Trenton and continue to serve people in Trenton. So again, let's welcome Pat Donohue.
Yeah!
Thank you. We were debating for a couple months what my walk-up song was going to be. It was going to be Big Sean, but I appreciate that. Truth be told, since I was batting cleanup, Greg had asked me to speak for about 7 minutes. So I am definitely on the clock, but I'm happy to do that. I would be remiss if I didn't start by saying, if I've done anything good, it starts because I was raised in the Donohue household. I'm blessed that my parents are here, and we were raised, and their heroes were Bobby Kennedy and Martin Luther King. So if I've done anything good, it's because of them. And obviously, my wife is here, who is my partner and my best friend, and I couldn't have done anything without her, and she would kick my butt if I didn't also, and probably Mark Randall as well, didn't thank God that all of us are here and healthy and happy and able to celebrate this moment with Greg. Britt Adelot is here. I'm going to ask Britt to stand up too, because truth be told, she's the Michael Jordan of the Bonner world. I'm just Phil Jackson, who kind of talks about Buddha every once in a while. And I wanted to thank Greg. Greg is really like a brother to me and truly an uncle to my son and my daughter, and it's great to be here. Now, my challenge is Greg asked me to shorten my speech. This was the original speech. He wanted me to shorten it to 7 minutes, so we decided that we would take out those comments that were submitted by Brian Caver about Brian Caver. So we're gonna shorten speech a little bit right there. No, in all honesty, Brian was the one who introduced the two of us. So Brian, if you could stand up, Brian, I want to recognize you for that. As I was thinking about tonight in my now 6 minutes, I was trying to figure out how I could help celebrate this moment, but also convey the importance and the significance of the work that Greg is doing, as well as kind of help sustain it. And that's a tall order in a couple minutes. But I realized as I was thinking about it, we're really celebrating the movement. You know, what Greg is involved with is kind of a movement. He's grown the program from 1 to 8 sites, from 20 or 30 kids to a couple hundred. Brittany and the Bonners have grown from 30 to 106, from 1 site to 17. The Bonners used to just mobilize themselves, and now they bring 2,000 students into Trenton and the community to respond to what the community needs, not to be from some ivory tower pretending that we know what it's all about. So that word movement kept playing on my mind, but numbers just don't convey anything really, right? They don't speak to the values and the beliefs behind any kind of movement. And as I reflected on it more, as I usually do when I have to talk, I grabbed books. So I grabbed, for some reason, maybe another sign of divine intervention, I picked Martin Luther King's book, Why We Cannot Wait, off the shelf. And I sped read some of it, or most of it, again. And I realized that there's an interesting connection between not only the word movement, but the work that Greg is doing and the Bonners are doing in the community and the civil rights movement. There's a direct parallel between the values and the core beliefs of the civil rights movement and what Greg is doing on a daily basis. The civil rights movement is alive and well in the city of Trenton, and we see it every day. Now, I know it sounds a little heady, sounds a little crazy. Talk about Greg Grant in the same breath as Martin Luther King and civil rights leaders. Those of you from Houlihan's are probably thinking I had too much Jameson at the bar here. But didn't Martin Luther King say that he wanted his daughters to be raised in a society that judged them by the content of their character and not the color of their skin? Didn't George Washington Carver say before the civil rights movement that education is the golden key to the door of freedom and liberty? Didn't Martin Luther King also say that everyone can be great because everyone can serve? Didn't Kennedy say, ask not what America could do for you, but what you can do for America? Each of those quotes and each of those values are directly connected to what Greg is doing and what the Bonners are doing in Trenton. You think about the Bonner Community Scholars Corps and the idea of race and being colorblind. It's an intentionally diverse group of students, 101 students. It's a majority-minority corps. Majority are African American, Hispanic, Asian, but the idea is to unite them around ideas or problems that are bigger than themselves. And when a diverse group of people come together around hunger and homelessness and working with Greg's kids, they transcend all the boundaries that separate us. And so by the end of the first month, these college students are judging each other by the content of their character, not the color of their skin. They're bringing King's values to life. And so Greg's work and this partnership is advancing the civil rights movement, the values and beliefs that we all care about. It's not only a diverse group of students that are coming together, it's a diverse group of students who are getting 4-year tuition scholarships. So you think about the Carver quote, the civil rights movement is all about access to education. So the Trenton Bonners, I mean, if you're I don't know why you're in the back right, maybe because we paid for your tickets, but can the Bonners stand up in the back? But the 7 of you didn't stand up, we're going to cut your scholarship. There's actually 12 in the back there. Anyway, they get a 4-year tuition scholarship for an economically needy student from Trenton. That's $40,000. The whole point is to create access to education, which is the civil rights movement is all about that. But not only for them to get access to education, but they come back into Trenton and they tutor Greg's kids to help other folks. If you don't have an education, you don't have choices. You don't have choices, you're not free, right? And so one of our proudest stats is 90% of the high school men's basketball players, and it started with Bridget and Allie and Fred, aka Good Love Fred. 90% of those young men enroll in college, and statistically that's phenomenal. But you think about the third quotes, the final 2 quotes from Kennedy and King about service. These Bonners are each giving 300 hours back into the community. Trenton high school graduates are coming back and giving 300 hours back into their community. But over the last couple of years, they made a deliberate decision to mobilize the rest of the campus. Those 101 students mobilized 2,000 other students to come into Trenton to work on the unmet needs of the community. And Greg is the model for that, to be honest with you. Other than Adrian Brantley, who's a crossing guard I mean, I don't know what, I don't know if you saw that newspaper article, but he is actually a crossing guard. You know, what other former NBA player goes back into his community and starts an after-school program to help kids? I mean, it's really amazing. But those bonders are trying to change the culture for everyone to feel as if they can be great and to serve, and Greg sets that role model. But if it's a movement, then we have to recognize that we have an obligation. Like all movements, the troops need to be fed, right? They need to be clothed. They need to be armed. And we have an opportunity here to help out in a significant way. Each of you have a flyer in front of you. If all of us gave up 1 cup of coffee a day, literally, if all of us gave up 1 cup of coffee a day, we could raise $160,000 for Greg in this program. $160,000. And that is kind of significant. You know, I know Greg appreciates the fact that you showed your love by coming here and purchasing a ticket. We appreciate that you showed your love by your presence. You don't need to be here. You showed your love for the program by your praise. You've all talked and said great things to him. And it sounds kind of corny, but it would be great if you showed your love with some pennies. I mean, 150 pennies a day, giving up 1 round at hula hands can do a significant amount. But I'm going to wrap up with one quote, but really hope you kind of take that seriously. I never read Carlyle. My older brother is here, and he read everything, so I was illiterate, and he read everything. Somehow I ended up working at a college. I don't know how that ended up being. But Carlyle once said that it's not our main business to see what lies dimly in the distance, but it's our job to do what is clearly at hand. What we have clearly at hand is Greg and this program changing lives. What we have at hand is a bottom-up, grassroots, locally driven group of young men, not so young men anymore, who are trying to change their communities. We have an opportunity, as Darren said, the tragedy that went on in the park. We have an opportunity for more young men and women to spend more time with Greg, with Pup, with Yvonne, with Dean, with Yvette, with Brian, with Everton, and Felicia, at all these places. And it's our obligation to try to help make that happen. I'm really proud to be here. I'm really proud to represent the college. I'm really proud to call Greg my brother. And I hope you will join me in being the first person to be a member of Greg's team. Thank you very much. God bless.